Now we'll go into our scheduled Ways and Means Committee meeting to discuss the FY 2017 operating budget for the city of Revere. Will everybody in the auditorium please rise and salute the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The members of the committee that are here are Councilor Patch, Councilor Haas, Councilor Morabito, myself, and Councilor President Giannino. And Councilor Rotundo, I see, is absent. Right, we'll take the pardon me? We're starting with Public Works, pages 108 to 114. Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'm going to open this up to the members of the committee first. Councilor Haas.
There was a situation, Mr. Superintendent, a couple weeks ago where you had to call in rapid flow at night because the guys refused to come in.
Yes, we have collective bargaining issues that are going on right now, Council.
Presently,
and they're being worked on, and I think it will resolve itself in a short period of time.
beautiful, thank you. Are there any additions to staff down there, DPW?
No, obviously, we could use a lot more help, and I think, as you can see in the budget, the mayor started down that road.
Right.
So, you know, one step at a time. You know, I think what happens is, you know, this being my third administration I've worked with, people just need to get adjusted to the new thoughts and ideas and changes that each individual administration wants to put in. I think we're in that time frame at this point, but once that's all resolved, I don't see any issues. And I based on what I'm hearing, probably by the end of the month, everything should be resolved from because they've been out of contract for over a year, which you can't, you know, lay at the feet of the current administration. They're trying to get it resolved.
And as far as your capital equipment, how does that look? How's your equipment?
Our equipment, it's long overdue. We're probably 2-3 years from where we should have bought it long ago. I've talked to the mayor and his staff about an infusion of equipment, and that'll be coming forward in the next few months.
It will be coming forward, you think?
I believe it will, Council, yes.
Okay, thank you, Donnie. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Haas. Councilor Patch.
I really don't, Mr. Chairman, I don't have many questions. I believe the mayor is hiring, what's he hiring, 3?
Yes, and there's others, staff members in there for half year. If you go through it, you can see where it's half. So there will be more staff on board. For the first time, obviously, I'm happy because I'm getting some administrative help that I've never had in the prior 17 years, which is going to make it much easier to run the department, budget-wise as well as administrative-wise.
Well, as long as you're happy, Donnie.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Councilor Morabito.
Mr. Chairman, nothing at this moment.
Councilor Canasso.
I'm not a member, but I have a question. In the rubbish collection, are we still under contractual agreement?
We have an extension right now, Councilor, and we are working to put a long-term collection contract into place. I'm not exactly sure exactly where we are at that at this point, but I know we are working on it. And we're looking to go in a couple of different avenues. It's kind of premature for me to get up here right now and
Are we saving
divulge
money?
exact-
Are we saving money because of recyclables?
Actually, no, the recycling has actually gone up. I mean, it's still a lot cheaper than the tipping fees, but the recycling is sort of like a commodity. It goes up and down. So presently, the cost is high, but we expect it to go back down in the near future, but it's still a lot cheaper than paying the full tipping fee that you would pay at Resco for disposal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent.
Councilor Patch.
Thank you for letting me speak again, Mr. Chairman. Bringing up the trash, I hope one of the solution is that we do something similar to whatever it does with the, I believe they have the recycling, that we have for recycling bin, they also have for regular trash. And I'll tell you, because this rodent problem is completely out of hand, and people just aren't, the inspection services are doing as much as they can to get the people fined, but some of these people just don't care. And if they, maybe if we give them a couple of barrels, they might actually put it in the barrel. So I hope that's being considered.
It's actually in the forefront of what our thoughts are, Mr. Counselor, based on, not just the rat problem, but litter problems in other areas. That's what we're looking at. And that, based on the cost of those toters, as you recall, those toters are quite expensive. So we're trying to build it into the contract. Maybe we can get whoever wins the bid can take up some of the cost of buying those toters, and so that'll determine whether we go with a 3-year, 5-year, or even possibly a 10-year contract if the numbers work out in the best interest of the city. So like anything else, it is exempt under 30B, so we can negotiate as hard as we want, and we can make it a 3, a 5, or a 10-year deal as long as the financials are in the best interest of the city. And I think that's what's being done as we talk about it here this evening.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Council President Janino?
I don't have any questions regarding the budget, but I'm happy to see that there are some new positions in your department, because it's something that we've all said for a long time, that you're understaffed and overworked. So I'm happy to see that you guys are getting some extra help that you need, and hopefully we can get more in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Councilor McKenna.
Do you know when, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Goodwin, do you know when these new positions are going to take place?
I would assume that once the council either approves or disapproves, we'll know what we're working with, and then it'll take anywhere from 90 to 120 days to get the actual people in place. Obviously, the sooner the better, but I'm not aware of anybody just waiting in the wings to step into it. So they need to advertise and put the job description together once the council approves it. I think that the paperwork and everything is ready for advertisement. What we want is ready to go. It's just we need to ensure that the council is going to approve it before we can move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McKenna. Councilor Maravito.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, as we thank you all the time for a great job and your department. If you could look under the line item of labor force sales supervisor on page 108, it shows that in fiscal year 16, there was a supervisory position that was being paid out at $165,000. And now for fiscal year 17, it was dropped to 110, and it looks like another supervisory position was added. Was the overtime cut and another employee was added to the budget?
on page 108, you're referring to,
Supervisors.
well, there's,
Under labor force salaries.
okay, you got a supervisor at a step 26, and then there's another one below, but I believe if you go farther and you go into, on page 110, Stephen, you'll see where all the names associated with everything on 108 is kind of spelled out very clearly to you.
No, it's not matching up. Yeah, it's not matching up. Okay, I can see. Thank you. That makes sense.
Thank you, Stephen. Donnie, I don't have any questions. I'm looking here at the Water Sewer Enterprise Fund, and I understand that that's all being moved over to another department that's being created.
Well, it is a department right now, it's just, they have two different funding sources. Obviously, DPW General is funded out of the general fund,
Yep.
and water sewer billing is paid out of the rates that the water ratepayers pay. So that also needs to be a negotiated settlement. You just can't arbitrarily, do it, and that's in the works right now. That's part of the overall design and package for change for the future, and I think it's a good one, and it should have been done long ago.
I just have one question regarding the snow removal. With the small amount of storm we had this past season, was the $200,000 adequate, or did we, no?
No, it's never adequate, John. The thing about snow and snow removal is that you can see the prior year was $1.8 million for snow removal.
Yeah.
But you have to maintain a certain amount of dollars. If you reduce the money that you appropriate for snow removal, then you can't deficit spend, so we try to maintain the same amount of money because.
So that's a requisite to deficit spend, correct?
Well, it is. You're not allowed to if you don't at least have the same money you budgeted the year before. It's just one of those quirky rules and regulations. And there have been years, not in the recent future, that we have not exceeded that amount. So there are years that will, because you'll have not just for the privates, but you also have for in-house snow removal. So that's a separate account. So there's more than 200,000 if you really look at it. It's closer to 450 for in-house and private contracting.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I don't have any more questions. That's it. Thank you, Donald.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a good day. Thank you for the nice comments. I appreciate it.
The next item is economic development. That's pages 48 to 50. Mr. Fester and Mr. Ash.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to open this up to Councilor Haas. Any questions? Councilor Morabito. Councilor Patch.
I didn't think we had an economic development office anymore. Do we have one?
The Economic Development Office has been restructured. Community Development and Economic Development has been combined and restructured to counsel what is called Strategic Planning and Economic Development. So everything that was once Community Development and Economic Development separately is now together in this one department. It has been restructured.
Any questions? Councilor McKenna? Go ahead.
Hi, John. I was wondering, so this was restructured, this whole office, this whole department. I was wondering is anybody going to lose their jobs from this?
Honestly, Counsel, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I know that I can say to you that Mr. Signori, who was in community development with us, has retired. So I know what's been happening with his responsibilities is Mr. Ash and myself have been taking those responsibilities. So I know that obviously with his retirement, that's one less position, but the restructuring, there's various positions, and I'm not sure.
Councilor Patch?
Yeah, I have one more question. John, I know that you're not union, but the members of the community, maybe Mr. Ash can answer that. Are they union workers?
Yeah, yes.
So, as far as we're seeing for 2007, all the jobs are vacant. So, do these union jobs have to be considered, or is there going to be a problem with the union?
With the restructuring process?
With the restructuring process?
Right. I think that was taken into consideration, and I think with the restructuring, I don't believe there was going to be a problem with that issue. But you're right, there are union employees, and but with the restructuring, I believe that it's just a whole new process, and it's a whole new department. So I think with that, I think what happens is sometimes it alleviates some of the concerns.
Well, I just hope that the mayor considers, because all the people that work in your department and community planning, in my opinion, have done a tremendous job up there. And
thank you.
I hope that they are considered for the, especially, I mean, it's kind of hard to figure out. I mean, I believe Mayor Ambrosino made these jobs union. I'm not saying, I know your job is not union, but for the community office. And me being when I was the union vice president of the Patrolman Union, I had the good fortune of negotiating contracts with several mayors, and very important to me about the union. I don't want to see union people get shafted here. If it's for political reasons, or I just don't want to see that. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Patch. My understanding is that if one department is eliminated and another department is created, then the appointing authority would fill those positions.
Correct.
Or make lateral transfers from one department to the other. And I'm not familiar with the union criteria, so I'm not even going to comment on that. Mm-hmm. But the thing I see missing here, and some of these positions are paid through grants. Mm-hmm. So let's hypothetically, if there's a position in here that calls for city funding of $90,000, let's say $90,000, okay. And let's say the person is getting $100,000 and $10,000 of that is being picked up on a grant. Mm-hmm. It makes it difficult to vote on a budget if you don't have all the numbers. Maybe you feel that a certain amount of money may be too much or too less, and
I see.
I'd like to see that
Okay.
schedule of grant money.
Okay.
And that's something I've asked the Director of Finance for, and I thought I might have it here this evening, but apparently I don't, so
Okay.
I'd
That's
like
fine.
to see it.
Okay. No problem.
I don't have any more questions. Councilors, any questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, councilors.
John, thank you very much for coming here. Yep. All right, what do we? Engineering. Oh. Mr. Rystrom. Let's go to 24 to 26, pages 24 to 26. Where's he? Okay. Councilor Hess? Nothing. Councilor Morabito? Councilor Patch?
I have no questions.
Council President Janino?
I just have one comment, and it's a very lean budget, but I just have a compliment for your department. I had a resident call me, and normally when a resident calls me, it's because they have a problem, and it's usually not a happy phone call. They called me, I missed their call because I was at work, and when I returned their call, they had already been in your office and spoke with you, and they told me how wonderful they were treated and how their issue was resolved promptly after speaking with you. So for me to call a resident back and get that as an answer made my day. So thank you, and thank you for your hard work.
Thank you. It's, for the number of angry phone calls I get, it's nice to have one like that. Thank you.
I just have, I'm looking, I'm on page 24. I see the mayor requesting in the engineer 73.9, and then I see a different, okay, the department had recommended 88, is that correct?
That's right.
It's been reduced. Who is the project engineer?
So the project engineer and the project manager / construction supervisor, those are positions that formerly were part of the planning and community development office.
Okay.
And so the current administration point of view was that those individuals were better suited in the engineering department. I agree with that. But they were just lateral moves in terms of positions from one to another.
Those three positions will all be in that one department, correct?
Correct. So in addition to, excuse me, last year, which was just me, there would be 2 additional positions now that would be moved from that department into this one.
So it'll be Donnie Chiaramella, will be
Right.
one. And
Correct?
the
And
other
Mike
one?
Kessman.
Mike Kessler, okay.
Correct.
Okay. All right. I don't have any other questions. Everything, is very basic. Any other questions, gentlemen?
No, lean budget.
Nick, I want to thank you very much for coming here this evening. This is like your second round.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
and also commend the work you do down there. You do a very efficient and effective job for the residents of the city.
Thank you.
And
try as best I can. Thank you.
We're very fortunate to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
Councilors, thank you very much.
Okay, the next item, next on the budget is inspectional services. Mr. Catanazzo, pages 79 to 81, and the health portion is pages 82 to 84. Want to do the health first, or?
Sorry, John, what page are we looking at?
82 to 84.
82, 84? Okay.
82, page 82. Councilor Hess.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nikki, on page 80, you reduce your staff by 2 people.
Basically, it's...
Jump in, you want me to jump?
No, I can do it. I think I can do it. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Actually, it was the second position, Frank Scafani's paid out of an account.
Another account? Okay.
Yes, there was one position that was removed out of the budget, one of the part-time employees.
So could you...
Sanitary inspector.
Can you still effectively run the department?
Yes, of course. We can still
Okay.
run the department. Actually, we just had one of our other inspectors leave, Scott Capabianco, retired.
He retired,
Full-time
yeah.
employee.
Yeah.
I expect, hopefully, within a week or two, the mayor's office will be putting out a job offer for a full-time position.
Yeah.
So that's where we'll be with that.
Okay, nothing else, Nick, that I can see in here.
Councilor Maravito.
Just have a quick question, not specifically related to the budget, but
Sure.
how is the baiting going throughout the city?
Baiting,
Yeah, for mice?
rats.
Rats?
No,
I was trying to be
basically, we
kind.
do, basically, we do it on a call-by-call basis. There are problems in certain sections of the city, but like I've stated before, it's not just the city of Revere. It's been, talking to other health agents around. It's been Saugus, Medford. And basically, what we do is we receive a call from a complaint on a rodent issue. We send our inspector out there. If we see some burrows in the person's yard, we'll have them come down and sign a waiver for baiting. We only put one bait box out because of the expense it's been costing us a lot of money to do it. So last year, we spent almost $11,000. We used that money for mitigation from the dumpsters. We're talking about some other plans now through the mayor's office of how to settle some of these bad areas where we're having. Certain areas have worse. A lot of it, I think, is caused by, I hate to say this, by the state and surrounding, coming off the highways and stuff like that. And there's a lot of trash and there's a lot of stuff there. And unless we get the state to clean up their property, we're going to continue to have these problems. And it's just, like I said, it's just not Revere also. And don't forget, we're surrounded by marsh also, which is not, the most, it creates a problem. And it creates a problem for our department also. I mean, it's not an easy problem to solve. I mean, but, through the work of the mayor's office and been very cooperative, and we're trying to, like I said, case by case, we've been settling these problems.
Thank you. Going forward, maybe the mayor's office can contact the state highway.
Yeah, we've been working on that. Yes,
Yeah.
we have.
Go on.
Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nick, I just want to say thank you for all that you've done for Ward 1. I know I call you all the time. I'm the squeaky wheel that tries to get the oil, but you really do. You really come through and you know, fulfill all my calls, and I just wanted to thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Councilor.
Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nick, again, I'll say what Councilor McKenna, you've always answered the phone, you're always there when we when needed. I'm sorry you lost a great guy in Scott Cabianco retiring.
Yeah, he was a special guy.
He's been there a long time. He's just,
I know.
I know you're going to miss him in the office.
I do. We already miss him.
Now, that job is open, right? Now, these are all union jobs still?
Yes, that's correct.
So, at the same title, code enforcement, sanitary, I know the part-time worker was let go.
Right.
With this job opening up as a union,
Right.
does he have a right to?
That would be, that would be a determination made by the union itself.
Right.
You're talking about the part-time employee applying for
The full-time job.
full-time position. Yeah, I mean, that's something that would probably be looked into. That's correct.
Also, wouldn't it help you a little bit too? I mean, I'm just offering it out there that we don't have enough inspectors, so maybe we could have 2 part-time.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well,
like I said, the more we can get out there, the better. Don't you consider the better it would be?
Yeah, we you know, basically, today we just started our new program, looking at the 600 worst properties in the city. We just started that today, it worked out really well. We'll be doing a presentation in front of City Council within 2 to 3 weeks, and it's really worked out well today. So this new program that we have, as soon as we get everybody in place, probably within a month or so, maybe a little longer, and get all the bugs worked out. But today, everything went fabulous, and we've been going through training and everything to make, working with building department, health department, with inspectional services, and it's really worked out well. So today was bonus day.
Yeah, because some of those, I still don't understand how these banks get away with these vacant, these vacant houses. The one on Milano Avenue.
Yeah.
What's that going on, like 4 or 5 years?
4 or 5 years, yeah.
And they just don't care.
Well,
it
to let
does
the
a job in the neighborhood.
Yeah, well, let the council know, last year, we approximately like 16 properties, fining them every single day, $490 a day. Last year, we have billed out almost $800,000 compared to the year before where there was like 200, that's including liens and fines, which is, this year, we expect to do even more. And we're going after the worst properties and the banks. Those are the people, and they ignore us. One bank, Bank of America, I believe, paid us $40,000 because they ignored us.
Right.
So, we have a great safe housing program in place where we work with attorneys, and I don't know if some of you have sat through one of our meetings, but it's really a good meeting. We have, we really go after them. We do warrants in court now, and we work, and we have all the legal devices that the mayor's office gave us to work with on these programs. So that's the key point, having the legal advice. Because if you go in and you go into court, you'll never, being an officer, you know that, working out of Chelsea Court, it's hard to get a warrant. We get, every single time we get them because we have all the legal documentation when I go into court to pull those warrants. And we go into these houses, we go in with police, fire, inspectional services, and then we write up this order to correct, and then the minute we have that written up, we start finding the property, and we bring them in. And we've been bringing them in. So we've settled a lot of properties now. So we got probably the best program in the state right now. Seriously.
Well, I really hope you could settle the one on Milano Avenue. There's one up in Franklin Street in North Revere.
Yeah, we're working on that one.
It's just terrible. But as far as as you know, the rodent
Yeah.
problem is not getting any better.
No, it's not.
It's worse.
I agree.
And we put that ordinance through with the barrels.
Yeah.
And
Well-
I just think people just don't get it. The people are moving into the city.
Well, I think down the line, Councilor Patch, I think we got to look to an all-barrel plan
That's what
and
we-
basically do away with bags, period.
We talked
A lot
to
of
that-
cities and towns are doing that. It's an expense to the city, and it's something we should look into, but that's something down the line right now where, we just passed the budget and everything, so.
Right, we brought that up with the DBW, with
Yeah.
the new contract. Hopefully we can get in the same plan, whatever, because
Right.
if we give them the barrel, maybe they'll use it.
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully. Thank you, and thank you for all your help.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Councilor.
Patch. Council President Janino?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will say most of the calls that I receive end up getting to your office somehow, and I want to really thank you because every time that I do email you or call you, by the end of the business day, I get a call or an email back that either you're starting to look into it, or you have a date to look into it, or you already have an answer for me.
Yeah.
So thank you, because the way you do your job helps me do my job easier, and it really means a lot, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Madam President. Councilor Ganasso.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nick, you do a good job, based on the fact that you bear with us. I gave Nick last week a list of no less than 15
Is that what you called
locations.
it?
And I think when I was getting to the 15th one, I could hear a little gasp on the other end of the phone. And we went through in detail what was necessary to be required for the good keeping of the neighborhood. And Nick took it and you dispatched it to the right sources of people who are going to take care of this problem. And that's a tremendous service for our citizens, because that's all they're looking for. It's a little relief from the burden that's placed upon them by these neighbors who don't do the right thing to keep their properties up.
Yeah.
I also had the privilege of one particular location a few months back to be at one of the locations on Temple Street where we made that on-site visit with the attorneys and Nick and his whole staff. And this place was like living in a third world country's conditions. There's a couple little children running about that were living in these conditions that weren't fit for a wild animal, ever mind a child. And it was such a condition that was really warranted attention. And again, because of the conditions in the law, the way it prevails over how we proceed legally, you had to do step by step by step. My first objective was go in and tear the house down. I mean, there was no rehabilitating that property. And I mentioned on several occasions where I saw these people barbecuing in front of their property during the summer months with a car no less than 3 feet away. And by the way, I just received word, which is a very unfortunate situation that happened just moments ago, I understand, in Chelsea, where 2 of our Revere firefighters fell through a roof. And so I hope that our prayers are with them, that everything's okay. I just received the information 2 minutes ago.
Oh, wow.
So that shows you, and we had the fire chief up here, the acting fire chief up here last week, explaining the perils and the dangers of the job and what these men and women go through on a daily basis. And here's a classic example, by helping a neighboring city, and they fell through the roof. So hopefully everything's okay. But getting back to you, Nick, you do an unbelievable job. You disperse it well, you handle it well, and the results is what counts. You do get results, and I really appreciate your help and support.
Thank you.
Because without your help and support, ward councilors per se would be a thing of the past, because our job is really depending upon your ability to get the performance done. And so,
Well, we make it a point to try to get back to somebody that day or the next day, the latest. And I think that's important. And since I've been here, I think I stated this before, I've worked under 3 mayors now, and we've kept the same policies in place. And, we continue to,
that one house at Davis Street and Dawes.
Yeah.
Are we doing anything? Are we making any progress there? That guy is taking us over the coals.
I got so many names in my mind.
But this particular location
Yeah.
is prominent in
Yeah.
Ward 3, because this guy has been violating every term of condition that's possible.
Yeah.
But again, Nick,
All right.
I want to compliment you for your good job.
Okay, thank you so
Mr.
much.
Chairman.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor Ganasso. Nick, I have a couple of things I want to bring to your attention. House down in the Point of Pines, where they took down the huge tree in front of the house.
25 Witten Ave.
25 Witten, that's correct. I went by there yesterday, the weeds are 2 feet high.
Yeah, okay.
It's owned by the bank, I understand.
It's owned by Bank of America.
It's for sale,
We've had
okay? But
6 or 7 people come in for that property wanting to buy it.
that's fine, but
I
in the
know. I
interim-
get it.
In the
Yeah.
interim, it needs to be cleaned up.
Okay.
I'm sure the bank can well afford to pay the fines or pay to have someone clean it up.
They've paid most of the fines, believe it or not.
One of the second item is the 2 properties on North Shore Road. In fact, one of them is.
Storage company?
I'm sure you had a meeting with Peter Brown.
Yep,
The owner was there, his attorney was there,
yep.
agreed to take the property down. Are we
Yes.
still fining them on a daily basis?
I believe we are, yes.
Okay, because
Yep, yep.
those amounts now should be astronomical.
Yeah, we actually stopped finding them because he was gonna, like you said,
He's not doing.
I know. No,
He's abusing the system.
I agree.
That's what he's doing.
I agree.
And the other issue is near the Freeman Street Fire Station on North Shore Road, there's a house that has the bicycle and the barrels out front. They had a problem with sanitary service in there.
Not familiar with that, John.
But-
Councilor Powers,
Yeah, no,
sorry.
This was where the sewerage was leaking into the backyard of the fellow on Freeman Street. That little house there, it's almost on the North Shore Road. We
Not from
discussed
it.
this, as a matter of fact.
Yeah? Okay, I'll look into
Are
it.
we finding them? I'd like to know if
I'll have to look into that one, okay?
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 Because that's the only thing that they understand. Now, Wonderland, I guess, is scheduled to this, according to the last timeline that I looked at, demolition, the 13th of July. Have they come in from any permits for?
Where's this? I'm sorry?
Wonderland.
As far as I know, they have not come in for any permits yet.
Okay. And they're scheduled for the 13th, according to the schedule that I saw. So I would think they, if not this week, perhaps early next week, they'd be in looking for, to get the area.
And we'll
made.
gladly give them the permits.
Yeah, because that's a very,
Yeah, we got a
Rodent
little
infested area.
special procedure there as far as the baiting goes into the area,
Yeah.
when we meet with them for the demo permit. So we've already
yeah,
discussed
that's
that.
going to have to be
Yeah,
painted a couple
I get
of
it.
times. And basically, that's it. I don't, you mentioned Mr. Scalfani is being paid out of another account. Where's he being paid out of?
I don't have the account in front of me, I can get it for you, though.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. Any other questions by members of the committee? No? All right, all set, thank you.
Would you
Dick.
like, I have the ladies here from the Healthy Communities.
Oh, yeah,
That's under my
yeah.
department. Would you like to ask them any questions?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Okay?
that's the neighborhood group, right?
Yes.
That's part of it, okay. Okay.
I know you've been
Now, I had asked for Nick, I had asked for a schedule of salaries that are being paid specifically out of grants. I spoke to the Director of Finance the other day, and I don't see that here, and I believe that's all being paid out of grants, is that correct?
Correct. All of the salaries in our department are paid out of grants.
Okay, so. What, are they on the health department side of it? What page?
No, I don't know.
89, okay.
It doesn't say like which ones were paid out of. It just lists all the grants.
See, I don't see any numbers in here, that's, That's the question I'm asking. $79? 89, right? Yeah. But again, I don't see any numbers. Other than the clerk typist, which is, that's vacant right now, clerk typist, that position.
I'm sorry, which position?
Councilman Morabito.
Can I make a recommendation for, maybe they have a little presentation, maybe you can tell the viewers what you do?
Sure. Thank you, Councilman.
They do an awful lot of work.
Since your budget is barely nothing, you might as well, you took the time to be up here and explain yourself.
So we are both part of the Healthy Community Initiatives Department. I am the manager, and Julia Newhall is the SUDS program manager, Substance Use Disorder program manager. The Healthy Community Initiatives Department consists of 2 programs right now, one of which is Revere on the Move, which includes all of our healthy eating, active living work. It also includes our neighborhood organizing strategy, our work around complete streets, and also our work around food justice. Julia can explain a little bit more about what our rebranded new name for our substance use work is.
So actually, we're currently under an expansion right now in terms of the SUD work, substance use disorder work. We are moving to Revere Street right next to Billy T's into a new office because the problem is so prevalent. We continue to get grants, and so we're having to expand our staff. We receive all grants from the state. A couple of them are sub-recipient grants, so they're actually through the federal government, but then we receive it as a co-grantee. And so we do local work with the drop-in center that's funded out of our office, the drop-in center on Beach Street. We're also putting together a leadership council, and that will include cross-sector of stakeholders. So we have a lot going on right now, and hopefully we can address the problem.
Thank you very much.
Councilor Hess, member of the committee. Councilor Rotundo, member of the committee. Any questions? Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please excuse my attire. Quick question in regards to enveloping further grants. So looking at the Healthy Initiative Program and all the things that you do, great things, by the way, is there any processes or abilities to obtain grant money to work in concert with the public health nurse to actually assist our seniors in like home care assistance and things of that nature, above and beyond what they do outside a community? I do know that there are grants that have been utilized in the city of Boston and elsewhere for that particular program. For example, heat initiatives, or when it's winter and so forth, you have like a warm space for seniors that don't have sufficient heat, or for that matter, families. Mm-hmm. Have you ever looked into something of that nature? And by the way, that would also help increase your ability to have more staff and ingratiate your department.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Councilor, for your question. Just to clarify, we are not an official public health department. What we do is community health education. And maybe Nick Canazzo can answer a little bit more, or the mayor's office, but there is some restructuring to have a fuller public health division under health. But our department, Healthy Community Initiatives, will strictly continue to work around community health issues.
Oh, thank you.
Council President Janino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say thank you, ladies, so much. You know, you're always out in the community, you're on the front lines, you're working with the youth in our community as well as the adults in our community, and I think it's really important that we have a resource for both of those groups in a city like ours. So for anyone that doesn't know you, you're both at almost every event that I'm at, whether it be substance abuse or whether it be getting kids to walk to school or all those really great programs that we have to offer in our city. So thank you, and keep up the great work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President Janino. Councilor Patch.
I just want a real brief, Mr. Chairman. I just want to have the people out there know how important it is, especially in my Ward 6, with Dimple and Ellie Baker and Julie Damara. They are so much help to me, it's unbelievable. And the meetings, we've finally got some results from the neighborhood groups that we've established, and I couldn't do it without them. And I just want the people, I want to thank you, and please pass it on to Ellie and Julie, and just the help has been tremendous. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Councilor Ganasso.
I want to take the opportunity to formally welcome you to Ward 3. That's in Ward 3 now, and so maybe we can pay a little attention there. We can get some help, and that's going to be visible for the people of Ward 3 to see. And I think it's a long time in coming, because that section pretty much is removed from the process of the loop that's being created. And I think now we're being inclusive, and I think it's going to be a great thing for Ward 3 to be included in part of the programs that are being offered out there. So congratulations, and thank you for, that's a great site, by the way.
And we have a lot of good staff persons who are working for us to provide the direct access to services, and so they'll be there as well a couple days a week to help the residents.
That's a great thing. That's a very good. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Councilor
Chairman.
Ganasso. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to follow the words of Councilor Janino. Good job, girls. You're always there. Every time throughout the city, I see you everywhere, so I just would say committed and dedicated, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McKenna. I want to publicly commend your department. This past Saturday, one of your employees, Elle Baker, Laurie Ellen, was down at the Point of Pines, and had organized a cleanup of Gibson Park, as she has done in many other locations throughout the city. If you drive by there, you can see it's a significant difference. As a matter of fact, they even had a crew painting the walls under the bridge. As a matter of fact, Mayor Arrigo was down there himself, and he did a great job. He had a roller, and he was up there painting the walls, and did a real great job. And those are the things that we need in this city to make our city look better and run more effectively and efficiently for the residents of this city. And again, I want to commend you. Thank you very much for your attendance here this evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
That, what else do we have here? Parking control, is there anybody looking right at you?
I can answer any questions, Chairman Powers, if you have any. The department's going through a restructuring. It's going to be broken out of the city clerk's budget into its own department in accordance with what the administration would like to do with it.
Yeah, now, basically, is that going to be in the clerk's office, or is there?
I don't know what the...
Mr. Mayor is here, and I think he can answer that question. Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, so in terms of the parking enforcement, we, in conversation with the city clerk, I decided to pull it out of the city clerk's office and have a fully functioning parking enforcement department. And one of the priorities that we've laid out is overhauling some of the parking rules around the city. So I want to task our incoming traffic enforcement officer to take hold of that project and get a residential parking plan in place. We've talked a lot about it up here in the first 6 months, but I'd actually like to get some action going. Additionally, we're going to have to we'll have to figure out what the next steps are in terms of moving the actual the payment of tickets out of the city clerk's office. So that is something that will not happen July 1st, but will be a plan for the incoming folks that are helping out. So I don't know if that answers your question, but the goal is to get parking, the payment of parking tickets out of the clerk's office.
I think that's an excellent idea because there are a lot of people that come into that department, and at times some of them can be abusive. And I think perhaps in another location where there was a stronger presence, maybe down at the police station, something like that.
Right.
that,
We'd like to have a safe environment for folks to be able to interact and make sure that there aren't, the lines aren't too long and that they are able to make any transactions without any public safety issues.
Thank you. Council President Giannino, did you?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the mayor. I think it's a great idea. As many of you know, our mailboxes are out of the clerk's office, so there have been many times that I've been in there to pick up my mail or to file a motion and have witnessed some of the things that the staff in that office has to deal with. And I think that, if you go to pay a bill at the collector's office, there's that glass screen that offers them some protection for someone that's angry or frustrated or having a concern. In the clerk's office, that doesn't exist. There's just a big open counter, and I've witnessed some very interesting conversations. So I think for the safety of the staff and for the best interest of the staff, it would be great to have that as a separate department and have staff that is coached and trained on how to handle those difficult situations in that office, as well as have an opportunity to get new technology to process tickets and to handle that so people can pay them online. Like if you're in Malden and get a parking ticket, you don't even have to come into City Hall. You can go right online and pay it and just pay a couple extra dollars to be able to process it online. So I think we're in the right direction, and I know that you just got the online bill pay set up, so hopefully this will just help us to further move forward, especially in this department. So thank you.
Good idea.
Thank you, Madam President. Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor, I want to commend you for, this is way overdue. I speak as my colleague, Councilor Giannino, being in that office and seeing some of the abuse that they have to take as a former public safety officer, police officer. I used to see it in the police station when they come in and complain about it, and they really shouldn't have to take that abuse. And I've been trying for a long time to get it out of there, and for their own public safety. Whatever help you need, the sooner the better. And it's like I say, it's well overdue. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think without question, as Charlie just mentioned, it's long overdue. But my question is, are you going to add new staff members in that department?
So you'll notice in the budget, we have a full-time parking clerk.
Right.
That position was not full-time previously. So we're going to have a full-time parking clerk. This will be their job. So before, the city clerk had part of it, we're going to hire somebody to be a full-time parking clerk. In addition, you'll see that I think there was one other position that was went from part-time to full-time. I think once we get going and once we lay the groundwork for some of the parking rules that we want to enforce and some of the residency parking permitting plans that we have, we will probably want to have additional staff. But I think for right now, we just made a full-time parking clerk and a part-time parking officer to a full-time.
Because I think, Mr. Mayor, the more people we have in there, it's a revenue enhancement department, without question.
Right.
We are lacking revenue in there because we don't have the proper staffing.
That's correct.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Haas. Councilor Ganasso.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Certainly, this is a welcome addition to the form of government that we see being in place. You hear many residents, you never hear anybody say, geez, I got a parking ticket, I'm so happy about that. So obviously, the first gut reaction is, they're contentious. They're very contentious with the situation because nobody gets a parking ticket that deserves one. That's according to the one who gets a ticket, including myself sometimes, I guess. But I think it's a very serious problem, and I think that you'll see a lot of violations throughout the city, and every once in a while, I see the parking control people enforce up, and I'm very pleased to see it happening at Northgate, because I always used to go up to Saugus and say, geez, look they can't park in a certain area because they're getting tagged right away by, a control officer who's ticketing. So now, and I saw the parking control people ticketing someone that was in a handicap parking location that didn't have any handicap sign or a placard on their automobile. And I thought that was a great thing, and to have that type of enforcement there. So I think with that, we need the staffing to control, and we need it in a protected environment so that people become angry. At least our clerk is on the other side protected, and that's the least we can offer out to whoever takes the job. So good job. I think it's well thought of, and I think the citizens of Revere will eventually like it.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Councilor Ganasso. Mr. Mayor, I certainly want to commend you for this action. All you need to do is turn on the TV or look at your cell phone, your iPhone today, and you see the climate of violence that is prevalent out there all throughout the country. And people do get parking tickets, and there are some people that feel, they were unjustly ticketed. And I doubt that that's the case too many times, but it can be at times. And I certainly wouldn't want to see anything happen from some as a result of some disgruntled person coming into an office and causing a problem or causing bodily harm to any of our girls in that office. And so again, I want to compliment you. I think this is a move in the right direction, and hopefully it'll be starting very soon. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That concludes the meeting of the Ways and Means Committee for this evening. Our next and last meeting will be on Wednesday, the 22nd of June at 5 p.m. And anyone interested in the budget, operating budget for FY'17 for the city of Revere, watch that meeting. Thank you very much.